Today's episode is sponsored by P3R because they are gearing up for the marathon. The Dick's Sporting Goods Pittsburgh Marathon weekend of events all goes down May 2nd and 3rd. There's the big race and also a half you can run or walk it, the 5K, kids events, and more. So whether you're a first-timer hoping to push yourself to new limits or a grizzled ultra marathoner with tons of experience, there is space for yins. Use code CityCast15 to save 15% off any registration. That's thepittsburghmarathon.com. Use code CityCast15 for 15% off any event. This is CityCast Pittsburgh. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine?
Is it okay if I don't like it?
I don't like it either.
Colin, what about you?
I feel some kind of way about it. It feels like yassified.
I love Gaga, and I like Super Bowl commercials, but I don't like this.
I think the fact that this is a Rocket and Redfin commercial makes me go boo, because you're using Mr. Rogers to sell mortgages and homes. I get the neighbor part, but I don't think that's the spirit of Won't You Be My Neighbor.
No, I feel like it would be way better if it were for some sort of food bank or national health nonprofit. I don't know. It feels a little too and I think the slick production is also in keeping with the fact that it's for a mortgage. It feels just a little too slick for me.
We are talking about a new Super Bowl commercial, a piece of which has dropped as we're recording this, where Lady Gaga is singing the Mr. Rogers classic, Won't You Be My Neighbor? We have feelings, and we're going to talk all about our feelings about football, things that are only tangentially related to sports, snow, ice, not the weather kind, and wins, losses for the week. I'm with CityCast producer Sophia Lowe and CityCast contributor Colin Williams. Thanks, y'all. It's Friday. We made it.
Hello.
Good morning. It's Friday. We've covered a lot this week. I think a lot of fun stuff and some complicated stuff. We started the week off with our guide to February, one of my favorite episodes every single month, where we talk about what to do in Pittsburgh. And then on Tuesday, we talked about where to get food for Lunar New Year, which is coming up on February 17th.
Yes, Sophia on the mic, so don't miss out on that one. On Wednesday, we talked about data centers and how to follow them, what the heck they are, what they mean to Pennsylvania, how our electeds are talking about them, because I feel like we're still in that liminal space where the electeds know about them, but they can't clearly articulate whether they're for or against and how they need to deal with their constituents. And yesterday, Mallory and I walked everybody through who the big five are when you talk about property taxes in Pittsburgh and who has to pay, why UPMC doesn't have to pay property taxes. This is why. So check that out if you've ever read something about that and been like, huh?
I did my taxes this past weekend, and then doing this episode this week filled me with rage because, it reminded me the people with the big bucks are skipping out.
The UPMC question is literally the billion-dollar question in Pittsburgh. And I mean, especially after the gesture of generosity that they made by giving the city $10 million. Giving. You really got to wonder why they don't give a little bit more, perhaps.
Yeah. So we're going to jump into sports adjacent stuff, but it's not really about the big game because we're not there. We didn't even get close. One thing that I saw that popped that has just been tickling me is our Pennsylvania tourism office recently dropped this winter hotline. Have y'all seen this thing?
Yes, I have. I immediately called them.
Wait, have you already called? I didn't do it.
I have. It's this little phone tree. It's cute. I'll walk you through it in a second.
Colin, are you familiar with this?
I heard about it. Yeah, I can't wait to hear how authentic the accent is. And did they do one for Southeast PA as well? Do we have a Delco accent?
Yes, there's a Philly. There's a Philly version.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah. When you call, they ask if you want Western Pennsylvania or Eastern Pennsylvania recommendations, but then from there there's branching paths and stuff. So I'll give them a ring now.
Yo there. Thanks for calling the Visit PA Snow Day hotline. Winter in PA is pretty special, and we've got lots of ways to spend the day. Whether you want outdoor stuff or cozy indoor hangs, we'll show you where to go all over the state. Our PA experts aren't around right now, but no worries. We've got tons of winter ideas for you. Press 2 for things to do in eastern Pennsylvania. Press 3 for things to do in Western Pennsylvania. Want to hear the Snow Fun Friday letter of the week? Press 4. Or just hit pound, and we'll text you a link to visitpa.com with all our top picks.
Okay, that's better than I thought it would be. When I was reading about this, I think it was maybe in WHYY. It was an outlet on the eastern side of the state. They tried to type out a Pittsburgh accent, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's not going to be good."
Yeah, it was kind of gibberish.
Yeah, I did not like that. But actually, that sounds like a real person and not one that's just trying to make fun of a Pittsburgh accent.
I think my only note was that they said state and not Commonwealth. Other than that, pretty true blue PA accent right there.
God, what a claim to fame. Let's look ahead to other things that are like sort of in this genre, I guess. Pittsburgh is going to be represented, not at the Super Bowl, but at the Puppy Bowl. Sophia, I know you've been digging into this.
I'm so excited. There are 4 dogs that are going to be represented, 2 on each team, and there are 2 dog brothers. They're playing on opposing teams, so there's like a little rivalry there.
Oh, it's like the Watts of the Puppy Bowl kind of thing.
How does the Puppy Bowl work? I'm so sorry. I wish I knew the answer to this.
I feel like it just works by being extremely cute. That's been my experience with it.
Yeah, are there rules? I've tuned in, but mostly like it's in the background while I'm doing something else.
Exactly.
And I'm just there to watch dogs run around. Like, can you even actually win a puppy bowl? I don't know.
I think we're all winners if we get to see cute puppies.
Exactly.
Yeah, in other Pittsburgh-related Super Bowl news, the alternative halftime show that is being staged as a right-wing reaction to having Bad Bunny perform at the Super Bowl features a Pittsburgh native.
Album of the year! Woo!
I'm so excited about Bad Bunny.
Oh, I can't wait to see what he's going to do. I mean, he's on a rocket to the moon as far as his trajectory of fame. And I think the boldness to say Ice Out at the Grammys, very curious to see if there's something a little bit like that in the Super Bowl halftime show as well. Donald Trump is notably not going to be in attendance this time around. So if it is directed at him, he'll be watching it at his TV in the White House, presumably, or Mar-a-Lago, perhaps.
But Pittsburgh's participating in that alt show to a small extent.
I believe she's a Homestead native, but Gabby Barrett, who came in 3rd on a late season of American Idol, is going to be performing at the Turning Point USA halftime show, along with MAGA's favorite and seemingly only notable music artist, Kid Rock. So look forward to Ba Witta Ba by way of some wonderful Pittsburgh country hits.
Well, we'll move on to April, after the big game, but probably more relevant to the city here. The NFL has been releasing a bunch of stuff about the NFL draft coming up middle to the end of April, including what our North Shore is going to look like. Y'all, I did some driving around down there in the last couple of weeks. It is so funny to me, how the business owners are clearly already preparing. I heard someone talking about how the NFL, as an organization, has bought every single parking space on the North Shore for 2 months, in all the lots and everything. You can still get street parking, maybe, but it's going to be mayhem soon.
It looks really interesting. The renderings are all pretty, I think it looks like it's going to be a very entertaining setup. The one question I have is the main stage is in the open air, and Pittsburgh is not exactly known for clement weather in the spring. So you got to wonder what's going to happen if there's pouring rain or sleet or something like that at the main part of the event.
I like that you're already anticipating sleet for mid to late April. You're not necessarily wrong.
If this winter has taught us anything, it's expect the unexpected.
Well, if they've been in Detroit, Green Bay, I think they can handle cold weather.
Theoretically, although I will point out
right.
this part of the curve, where the Allegheny meets the Ohio by the stadium is very drafty. Having sat in those sections at Acrisure Stadium, it's not the cold, it's the wind that will bite right through you. I'm excited to look at these though. I've been saving myself for this moment to kind of glance through these. It's hard to tell for some of these photos what I'm even looking at, because it's so far away. They're trying to get our big beautiful skyline. But it means I can't actually tell what's down there.
I feel like there's more pop-up tent-looking stuff around the stadium and more lights than you'd usually see.
Yeah, the light pollution folks are really going ham on this. This is not helpful for the environment.
Some of the pop-up stages look a little bit like those salt sheds. That's one thing. I wonder
The big curve.
I wonder how they'll look in person, but they really just kind of look like a salt shed with a big curved thing and maybe some like cinder blocks holding them up. So hopefully they gussy it up a little bit more than that.
And news has been popping off about the draft for a while now. Like some transit related news, like the Gateway Clipper is going to be offering a shuttle service during it. They do that during games too. So I think that's kind of cool that they're going to keep integrating that. You know, the Downtown Partnership has been talking for months now about getting our storefronts filled. They had a program up where, you know, folks were, you could, I think it was for subsidized rent. I don't think it was free. You could put a small business into one of the empty ones downtown right now. I really hope that they keep supporting small businesses that want to be downtown, that this isn't just a for like so that we look better on camera situation. I don't know. I like it. I just hope it continues beyond April.
Same here. One other thing I'd like to see is more sidewalk repairs all around the city. Like in Trib's article about the draft and the new renderings and stuff, there was reporting about how there's going to be sidewalk repairs around like the North Shore and everything. Bring that to everyone, not just for our visitors.
The North Shore sidewalks are pretty good, like by Pittsburgh standards. Like I want to know what they want to repair.
One problem that we do have in PA is actually that the sidewalk is the responsibility often of a property owner. And so in some cases, there are parts of town where, maybe we could benefit from a little bit more public intervention in our sidewalks. I mean, certainly you can see places all over the city where sidewalks go from concrete to brick to maybe grass and back again. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what impression people get of the city, given how much they're investing in downtown.
Megan, sorry, I stand corrected. Most of the sidewalk repairs are downtown. I went back to check.
Okay, that makes more
sense. To see where exactly. To your point about downtown, Colin.
One thing I'm hopeful for actually with downtown and these storefronts getting filled and sidewalks getting repaired is there are also a bunch of affordable housing projects in the works now. There's some buildings on Liberty Avenue and Smithfield Street that are being converted to housing as we speak. So hopefully that bodes well for just a more stable population down there to patronize some of these businesses and use those sidewalks.
Again, shout out to the Downtown Partnership. They've been doing a lot of stuff, trying to encourage folks even just to go tour those spaces. I went on one of their summertime ones and popped into a few. It's like old office buildings that have since been converted into residential. Some of them are really cool. I did not check on the rent of any of those. I'm sure it's quite high. But they had several that were kind of on their longer list. They weren't part of the tour that were still under construction, still being redeveloped. It's an interesting program and process, I think, to try to make that happen. And, you know, if businesses don't want to be down there, like these big companies that lease the skyscrapers, maybe we can get more humans. Like, that sounds great.
I also recently heard that PNC has issued a return to office order, and they're going to be bringing their workers back down there 5 days a week. Not everyone is understandably overjoyed about this development, but it does mean that there are going to be more people downtown 5 days a week, every week.
Yeah, actually, when we talked to Mayor O'Connor, we got a question about that. It came in a little bit too late for us to ask about it, but they were wondering, like, if the city's going to do anything to maybe help Pittsburgh Regional Transit or, like, support the increase in potential commuters. I thought it was interesting that, like, one of their first thoughts about this return to work order was like, okay, can the city handle that? Like, can they handle, like, one company? I mean, it's big, it's enormous, telling everybody you got to go back now? And I think it's an interesting question.
Well, at least the bus lanes downtown are up and running now. So if there are more commuters, there's areas to support them. Whether the buses show up on time, another story.
Correct. And Arts Landing and other spaces, the fountain is complete now. I think Arts Landing is almost done. And Market Square, last time I was down there, it still had a minute. But, you know, they got a couple more months to try to figure that out. One more thing we saw this week that just cracked us up. Heinz Ketchup has entered the chat as it relates to football season, but not something you can have right now. They're offering, I think for real, earnestly, a keg of ketchup that you can purchase for
Ketchup.
Next football season. You can't have it now, but you can have it next time. Heinz is like on one as it relates to their advertising and marketing.
I love their gonzo-ness, but I really have to ask, like, who is this for? It feels like something that would be, you know, maybe a cool kind of aesthetic touch in a restaurant or something like that. But 114 ounces. I mean, I love ketchup, but that is a lot of ketchup.
Okay, I don't think this is actually that much ketchup. Like, I think, like, a family with a ketchup fiend child could get through this, because my bottle in my fridge is 32 ounces. So this just seems like a Costco-sized version of ketchup.
I think 32
Yeah.
ounces is the Costco size of ketchup.
I actually checked this. I checked this before the show because we have the Costco bottle in our fridge, and the one that we have, it comes in a 3-pack. It's 44 ounces.
Oh,
So
three
even-
of them is basically the keg chup already.
Okay, well now we
half that amount.
Now we need a price comparison. Is it better to buy the 3-pack of 44 ounces from Costco, or is it the keg chup? Okay, now we have a task ahead of us. Last thing before we move on, Monday is National Pizza Day. Personally, I'm really hoping there's an NFL tie-in to this. Like during the game, there's like an ad or something that could result in me getting free or discounted pizza on Monday.
That being said, I want to say check your local pizza spot and their hours, because all of my pizza favorites are closed on Monday. I know so many places in Pittsburgh are closed on Monday anyway. So personally, I will be celebrating with Driftwood Oven on Saturday because I also want to get ahead of the Super Bowl rush.
I did because of this, Sophia. I checked the hours for Ironborn, which is one of my favorite local pizzerias. They do an amazing Detroit-style pie, and their Millvale location does appear to be open on Monday. So I'm hopeful I can observe this holiday in true fashion with a nice spicy pie from Millvale Ironborn.
If you're looking for more inspiration, head over to pittsburgh.citycast.fm. We've got a whole article about some of the best spots in Pittsburgh. Many of them are closed on Mondays, but you can at least get some inspiration maybe for the weekend or for another day. I want free or discounted pizza for everyone always when it's a national brand. Pay full price for local. It's better. It's great. All right, we're back. We're going to talk about snow and all the silly stuff that's been taking over the city lately. And we are bringing in a ringer, a parking chair skeptic, Bruce Chan, also one of my favorite personalities on the internet.
Oh, thanks, Megan. Hey, everyone.
Hello.
So, Bruce, how do you feel about parking chairs? Explain your feelings about
Ooh.
skepticism.
I think parking chairs as a concept, particularly when it comes to cataclysmic events like we did have just now in the, 2 weeks ago almost, makes sense.
But it's still affecting our lives.
It is very much so, right? It's everywhere. They're everywhere. They're like, it's like they're probably never going to leave now, which is what I'm kind of sad about. I think that parking chairs are interesting because you're really claiming a space for yourself in the city, right? And I think that during normal times is what I question.
Agreed.
And so, right? And then once everything happened 2 Sundays ago, and I was like, okay, I understand. People worked really hard to dig out their cars. I get it. And they want to claim it. I get it. That's fine. But when does it stop? When does it end? Are we going to go into parking chair city now forever and ever and ever? And I'm just like, that, I don't know if I can get on board with. And so I'm skeptical about how they will function once the snow melts. Will our admiration for parking chairs also melt away? Or will we now transform into a Boston or a Philadelphia or any other cities where they really are intense about their parking property, if you will?
I'm kind of inclined to agree with you, Bruce, that I feel like in winter it makes sense, but there is a line where it stops being really fair. I've got a couple neighbors actually who are really intense about their parking chairs, and that extends into the summer months as well. My one neighbor has a bucket in her spot every single day that she is at work.
What?
So
Really?
I'm
Okay,
kind of
that's too much.
Yeah, I mean that is really like. She's very jealously guarding her parking spot. So I don't know. I'm of the mind though that in winter, if I put in the work, I want the spot. They make sense. But outside of that, I think you're starting to get into jag-off territory if you're blocking public property during warm weather.
I've never once
Agreed.
considered that anybody does this during the summer months. This changes my whole perspective.
There's one person a couple streets over who does it. Just one person in the summer. And where I live, there's enough street parking that it's not annoying. But if I were in a more crowded neighborhood, I would be upset I actually have a parking spot in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very grateful right now for it.
Coveted off-street parking.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is like, I don't actually have a car, nor do I drive. And so the fact that we're all like, it's all I've been seeing online is like parking spots. And I'm like, like, okay, but what about the sidewalks, guys? Like, literally, I cannot get into my bus. Like, I had to jump into my bus over a snow berm. And so for me, I'm like, well, we're talking about the kind of privatization of public space, right? Basically, a curb is like a public space. So for me, as someone who's an urban designer, I'm thinking a little bit more like, well, when does it end as far as the claiming of our space, Pittsburgher spaces, right? And so for me, I'm like, okay, I get it for the snow events, but the other events, like we all pay for these streets. We all pay for this curb, right? So in my mind, I'm kind of like, when does it end from a very like, we all own this kind of thing, right? Also, like, I'm like, can we all just walk around the corner? Like, why does it have to be this spot in front of your house? Like, like we have amazing neighborhoods. Like, I don't mind if I do borrow a car, I'm renting a car. Like, I don't mind parking down 2 blocks, 1 block. And I understand if people like have a mobility issue and things like that. But I'm always thinking about that from a very like, Fred Rogers, everyone's neighborhood. Like, why don't we just all share it together, right? And in my case, it's kind of, does the parking share represent that Fred Rogers kind of neighborhood? I don't know. Like, I think some people do. They'd be like, yeah, but, it's about respecting, the labor that went into it. But I'm also kind of like, how are we like thinking about each other? You can have my spot. I'll just park a block away. What are some of your sentiments, like thoughts about that,
Well, that's why we thought you were the perfect voice for this, Bruce, because I've seen you on the Instagram of it all pointing out, especially sidewalk courtesy, because, tons of our business owners and private homeowners, renters, everybody's been out shoveling sidewalks and things. And you've wisely pointed out, don't forget the curb cuts. Don't forget the bus stops. Don't forget to make space for someone to safely cross the street.
Yeah.
Like, these are little details that I think a lot of us forget because we're already doing the most.
I very much believe if you live on a corner, you have to shovel all around it for the sidewalk, not just like, I don't live in a corner, but if I did, I would. Not just like your doorway, because everyone's using the whole sidewalk.
I grew up on a corner. It was just our lot. Like, that was the contract. We bought the corner house. We knew we had to deal with the corner sidewalk.
You get a little more space. It's cute. Suck it up in the winter. Sorry.
On this topic, I hate seeing the way people have been cutting corners when it comes to shoveling out, both like not clearing a whole corner lot, but also doing things like just shoveling a really narrow trench into the middle of the sidewalk when both other neighbors have done like a good job of clearing out the entire width. And the other thing that drives me nuts this season is when people don't shovel early enough, every footprint by an early morning dog walker turns into a little patch of ice. And so you're ending up kind of compounding the problem over the course of dealing with all the snow.
True.
Okay, do y'all have any pro tips on that genuinely? Because as someone, this is my 12th winter in Pittsburgh, I still did it wrong. I did it wrong. I did not shovel enough or early enough, and it's a mess out there. I won't even lie. Like, I've been doing my best, but I got behind, and now I have the worst looking sidewalk on my block, and I feel terrible about it.
Yeah, Megan, I'm in the same boat as you. Like, this is only my 12th winter in Pittsburgh. 12th,
Okay, we're
13th.
right there. We're right there.
Yeah, and so what I've learned and what people have told me, which I didn't really do this season, which this past snowstorm, was like do it early, like treat it early, put your salt down early, is one of the tips I've heard. I will say, Colin, to your point, isn't it cute though to have like the iced over little paw prints on your sidewalk? You're like, oh, like it's so cute,
I do really enjoy that. Like, actually, one of my favorite things the last couple of days has been watching as the snow gets older and older, just like the tracks of squirrels and birds
deer.
And all these, and of course the deer that have invaded our neighborhood, crisscrossing through my yard. But yeah, I think the best thing that you can do, honestly, is put down salt. Even like sometimes before it snows, if you put down some salt or ice melt or whatever, it makes it a lot easier to scoop everything up because that bottom layer is already a little bit melted.
Interesting. I never have done that because I don't want to waste my salt.
Yeah.
I know it's going to get covered with snow.
So your thriftiness is actually biting you in this one.
Well, I mean, I'm shoveling pretty regularly and then like salting once it's all done. And I don't know, this past storm, since it was fluffy, like I think going out often wasn't really that bad because it was a quick job.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I'll try that next time and like do the salt first and see if that
rationer.
helps.
You're a salt rationer. I like
Yeah,
that. You're thinking long
interesting.
term. I mean, like, this is like 2 weeks out. Like people still need salt. So I can understand how maybe you're like holding off because you're like, oh, I need to use it in a week or 2 weeks.
I went to like 4 stores before I found a bag.
Yeah, a lot of stores are out right now.
Yeah, it's rough. I bought all of mine in September just in case because I was terrified.
Megan, you're planning ahead. I like that. That's
well,
good.
I'm a mom now. Like I plan more now in my life than I ever have before.
You're like a Costco warrior now. You're like, I'm getting all the toilet paper.
My kid's Christmas gift was a snow shovel, and boy, that has paid dividends. Actually, well, so let's introduce something because we got very excited about this on the CityCast team. Somebody brought us an etiquette question about parking chairs and like how to deal with them. And we started joking internally that this kind of feels like a Am I the asshole? Except we're going to call ours Am I the jagoff?
Am I the asshole is one of my favorite subreddits. I am on there
so
all the time.
Yes. So we would like to know from each of you, is this person the jagoff? So I'm going to read it to you. Story time. This person dug out her car very early in the storm, was out there diligently over and over again, digging out the car, making sure that it was all right. She cleaned the spot on Monday morning and left. No parking chair, was totally content to give the spot away to the neighborhood. She gets home and her neighbor has put down their own chair on it. Didn't help clean it out, just claimed it as their own. So she says dibs should only apply for the person who did the work, not her neighbor who watched, did not help, and has now snatched it away from the community. She feels betrayed by her neighborhood in a very funny, I think, like, what the actual hell, my guy kind of way. But is she the jag for getting mad, or is the neighbor the jag for reserving a spot that they did not clean?
Neighbor's the jag, 100%.
Yeah, neighbor's the jag, I think.
Oh, I didn't expect unanimity here.
Yeah, 100%.
I will say,
reasoning. Why is the neighbor the jag?
because you didn't do the work.
Does it have to be the work?
Yes.
I think
I
so.
think to stake a claim to the spot, yes, I agree. I think like if, you know, you had asked to put a parking chair, like say for some reason you needed it for a couple hours at some point, just talk to your neighbor. I feel like most people are pretty chill. If you ask kindly, like, can I reserve this? I know you shoveled it out, but can I have it for 2 hours or something? Like, yeah, that's probably fine. That's the only reason I'd say you can put a parking chair in someone else's spot if you asked first and got a yes.
I think this is also an example of like, maybe the original shoveler didn't really understand the culture around parking chairs. I really do think that this
or
is
her
kind
neighborhood.
of every person for themselves sort of thing. And you could say maybe the original person is the jagoff for maybe not reading the room, but I think that the neighbor's actions trump that for me because they're taking a spot that they didn't put any sweat equity into. You know, that doesn't seem fair.
Okay. Bruce, what about you? What's your reasoning?
No, I agree. I mean, I think that it goes back to my whole thing about like respecting labor. Like someone put the hard work in it. And like, you know, it is a gray area. Is the labor worth it? I mean, like, is it going towards a good thing or a bad thing? And I think in this case, it's like we got to recognize it. And I think that's a very Pittsburgh thing, right? Recognizing hard work. You know, if you work hard, you deserve a little something. And I feel like the neighbor in this case just was like, oh, I'm going to take over someone else's sweat. Like, as you said, Colin, like to just kind of like claim my own property, piece of public property, which to me is not great. I also wonder, like, what everyone else did on the block. Like, was everyone just like claiming spots? Is that why this neighbor thought, oh, there's a pattern going, so I'll just do it? Or was this the only spot on the entire block? Right. So I just wonder, like, what's going on? What neighborhood? Did they mention?
They did not. No. I do believe it was East End, if I'm remembering right. Well, and I think that that's like a phenomenon that we've been seeing playing out more and more. And often it's like it's a cascading event that you don't necessarily know about. Like, did y'all see that parking spot war that went kind of viral? WPXI covered it. I actually don't know what neighborhood this occurred in. Oh, yes, I do. It was Brighton Heights.
Ooh.
Did y'all see this?
Yes.
I did. Yeah.
No.
Oh, well, this is a treat for you.
It got heated.
Yes.
Yeah, what happened?
It's a 7-minute long TikTok, Bruce. I
Okay,
will send it to you.
I'll look it up.
So a lady dug out her son's car at night, and then the neighbor snatched it because her landlord had not cleaned out her parking lot. So she got it and did not respect that this was someone else's. But I don't think there was a parking chair. At no point did they mention whether there was a parking chair there. So she parks there day on day. And the lady, the original shoveler, gets mad about it. And she and her son get out there at midnight and bury her car. Like, just dig out another spot and cover this person's car. it's a work of art. Like, and she says at the end of the video, she's like, I went too far.
The self-awareness, I think, is funny. Like, I think this whole situation is terrible, but like actively burying someone's car, I think, is also kind of a jag move.
Yeah, I don't know that there's anyone that's not like at least a little bit culpable in this. But props to WPXI because they really put in the work, like talking to both of these people. Because the story's originally told on like TikTok and Reddit. Give this girl a Pulitzer. She did a great job retelling this drama. But then PXI comes out there and like gets a hold of both ladies and is like, "What? Why did you do this?" And it's great. It's good local journalism.
Yeah. Did they make up afterwards? They would like hold hands and
No.
It
is also my takeaway. There were a couple things that I took away from this whole thing. Number one, because the police were involved after these two ladies were yelling at each other.
The police helped unbury the car.
You can apparently call Pittsburgh police and get them to help unbury your car. That's my first takeaway.
I wonder if this appeared on Pittsburgh Scanner.
It does make you wonder. And number two, there was a comment deep in the Reddit thread that was like, she didn't go too far. Going too far would have been pouring water on the car after you buried it. And that was a good reminder that there are very creative, wildly vindictive people out there that you do not want to piss off.
I did see in that pile of snow, though, that they did an initial pile of snow, and then it looked like they even added to it with big chunks of like ice and slush. So they got pretty close to pouring water on it. I feel like that was just like that would have been the next logical step had the authorities not gotten involved.
This is going to be a treat for you, Bruce, afterwards.
I'm excited.
Just some other reminders. Don't walk out on the frozen river. I love that the city keeps having to issue these warnings to just like the greater area.
Oh my goodness. Do not do it, people. The water is still moving under there. And if you fall through, you are going to get carried away. This is so unbelievably dumb.
I put this on my social, just like the screenshot of the city press release, being like, don't do this. And within seconds, 4 separate people were in my DMs like, yeah, I've done this. I've done that. And I'm just like, oh my, what is wrong with you people?
I get the temptation and like it's really cool when the rivers freeze for sure, but just like look at a safe distance and be like, isn't that neat? Instead of putting your life at risk.
Apparently not. River traffic is still kind of restricted. They've got safety zones,
Right.
I think at least on the Allegheny and the Ohio. And then, I mean, this is not river related, but it is ice related. Did y'all see Farragut Street in Highland Park? Because they had a water main break multiple days in a row. The cars are now frozen into the road. It looks atrocious.
This happened to a neighbor of mine, actually, and she ended up having to basically jackhammer her car out with like, I don't think she ended up using power tools, but AAA had to get involved. There was like a lot of chiseling of ice. This is no joke. And that on Farragut Street was rough looking. Those cars were buried like halfway up their wheels.
Yeah, no, this is all fascinating to me as someone who's originally from Los Angeles. I'm like, winter, we've had it pretty chill for 12 years that I've moved here, that I've been here in Pittsburgh. And I feel like this is the first like real winter that everyone is losing their minds. I will say I did go with a friend and we went to a friend's house in Observatory Hill and we took like a parking spot that was cleared, right? No parking chair. I respect parking chairs. No parking chair. And immediately a guy came out of his house. It was like, I dug that spot out. Are you guys going to be here for a while? And I was like, we're going to be here for like an hour. And he looked at his watch and he literally was like, 6:49 p.m. If you're not back, I'm calling the cops.
Oh my goodness.
And I know, right? And the best thing was
That's
like
so aggressive.
there was parking everywhere in front of the house. And I was like, okay, so we just moved our car like up away from his house. And I was like, if you had just put a parking chair, I would have respected it. I think we should all respect parking chairs, right? But there was no claim. And I was just like, what is happening? Everyone's losing their minds. Everyone's like desperate. We're like, we just gotta survive. And I'm just like, I don't know, guys.
I do feel like this amount of snow over this length of time does bring out the worst in us as a people.
I can't wait to watch this YouTube video and this TikTok of what happened up there because I kind of want to be like, who are we talking about? What are these people? Because I'm a little inspired. Because like they could have slashed tires. They could have like done damage to the car. But instead they put just frozen water, like that will eventually melt and could be taken off, right? So I'm just like, there was a line and was it crossed? I don't know, guys. I don't know.
I'm not sure. This is why, like, to me, that one wasn't one that I even feel comfortable venturing, like, who exactly is the jagoff? Because, like, I don't know. I kind of have some respect for community justice.
Yeah.
Community justice. I like that.
Snow vigilantism.
Okay, carrying on without Bruce, but we're bringing in some good energy from our CityCast Pittsburgh neighbors.
Yes, 2 shout outs today. The first one is coming from Kelly F., who is shouting out Harold's Haunt and Maud's Paper Wing Gallery. So these are sort of like sister businesses. They're both in Millvale. I've been to Harold's Haunt. They kind of brand themselves as a they bar, which I think is super fun. Very queer and trans friendly space. Really fun drinks, and they put stuff in them too. Like I got a drink with a little shark guy in it one time, and he lives in my cabinet now. And Maud's Paper Wing Gallery has a bunch of witchy stuff. So if you're looking for things like crystals, great place to go.
Yeah, we recommend Harold's Haunt specifically like a bunch in our events too, just because they have like really interesting programming. They are still on my list. I'm going to put them on my 2026 bingo card.
Yes, I will say for your events, though, if they are ticketed, buy them, because one time I planned to just show up at the door and was like, nope, we're sold
Cute.
out. Good luck. And then our second shout out is coming from Dan E., who sent us a really nice note. Dan says that he's been listening every day since he moved here a couple months ago, and he feels so much more connected to the city because of us.
Aww.
Thank you so much, Dan. That is so sweet. And thank you so much, Kelly, for your recommendations. Really great picks.
Yeah, if you are listening and you want to share your favorite local business or nonprofit event, sandwich on the podcast, you can become a CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor and send them to us. There is no limit. If you joined us 2 years ago, you can send us nice things now. We will read them here. They will be in our newsletter. Join today at membership.citycast.fm. Now we're going to talk about wins and losses and other things to know. I will start one thing to know because we've talked about it so much on this show. We officially have a police chief and a public safety director. They were finally confirmed. It was unanimous. Kind of think we all saw that coming. But Jason Lando is the police chief. Hopefully he sticks around longer than a year and a half. And Sheldon Williams is our public safety director.
One loss for this week is, as all of this stuff has been happening in Minnesota with ICE raids, there have been some local incidences as well with ICE detaining asylum seekers. 2 different stories that came out this week focused on people who are legally in the United States in Oakmont and in Brentwood, who were arrested by ICE. And it's prompted actually the borough of Oakmont to consider a bill that would bar any local agreement of cooperation with ICE. So this is, as much as the nation has been focusing on Minnesota, this is definitely happening here in Metro Pittsburgh as well.
Yeah, I saw that Governor Josh Shapiro expects more deportations to be happening in Pennsylvania.
Potential surge, I think is the way he put it. I think it was over the weekend.
So I think this is a good time to save Casa San Jose's ICE emergency phone number in your phone.
Frontline
if you see
Dignities.
anyone's, stuff like that. And then on that same state level, ICE bought a warehouse in Berks County. So that's on the other side of the state. But we know that people get sent to detention centers all over the place. And this cost $87 million for ICE.
$87.4 million, according to the deed. And that's what taxpayers just paid for.
Yeah, there has been a big uptick in purchasing these warehouse spaces, which I think is concerning a lot of people. And one interesting wrinkle in all this, too, is that even Republicans in some of these areas have strongly objected to having a detention center in their area. I just saw one Mississippi congressperson was saying, basically, we support ICE, but we don't want this in our community because we'd be adding 10,000 detainees. And, where do they go? How, there are a lot of questions around infrastructure use. So definitely a development to keep an eye on.
And also just what happens inside them, because we've seen over and over Congress people trying to go tour them. They're part of their districts. That's supposed to be allowed, and they're not being admitted in. We've heard of abuse cases happening.
People dying.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Diseases spreading as well, like COVID and measles are spreading within some of these detention centers.
Yeah, and this Berks County building is one, according to Spotlight PA, who did a great piece kind of explaining a lot of this and what's happening nationally, that this one is one of at least 23 that ICE has purchased and is planning to convert into a detention facility. So this one would hold 1,500 beds, apparently. And they also recently bought one in Schuylkill County, and that one is, I think they said 300 yards away from a daycare. So parents and kids are going to be coming in every day next to that. You would never do that with a normal detention facility. I don't understand how this is working.
That one is also, I think, directly across from an RV park. Like, can you imagine taking a vacation directly across from, the site of historical atrocities? It just seems weird.
But that's the thing. Like, ICE has so much federal funding now. We talked about that last week. It's just existential.
Truly.
And if anyone is out there filming ICE, definitely, make sure you know your rights and all of that stuff too, because ICE agents have become pretty emboldened under the Trump administration and have been kind of coming after people who are filming them. If that's your First Amendment right, you're allowed to do that. But also, like, the Trump administration has been saying, people filming is getting in the way of ICE doing their job and that kind of stuff. So everyone, I think, should be careful out there.
I'll leave your listeners with one journalism safety tip. If you are going to be attending an event where ICE is present, or if you're going to a protest or something like that, one really great idea is to turn biometrics off on your phone so that your face cannot be used to open your phone and access its contents.
That's a good one. Okay. Colin, before we get off of this, I want you to show me how to do that. Next up, Pittsburgh Regional Transit had some bad news this week again.
A PRT bus hit a pedestrian on Monday, so the bus was turning onto Fifth Avenue. The woman was in critical condition, but I saw she was expected to leave the hospital earlier this week, so hopefully she's on the road to recovery. But I just feel like this has been happening relatively often. Throwing it back a little further, in September of 2023, someone was hit on the south side. But, January 2025, someone else was hit in Oakland at the same intersection where this accident just happened. September 2025, a woman was struck and killed in Spring Hill just trying to catch the bus. So especially with Oakland, I know there's been a lot of traffic changes, some different changes to bus stops. If you're in that area,
so many detours with all the construction, and that's aside from the snow, which is another problem.
Totally. So be careful. Don't be jumping over snowbanks when the bus is coming. All that kind of stuff.
As a Pitt educator trying to cross Fifth Avenue to get to the Cathedral of Learning, I will say, it's like 4 lanes of traffic. They've removed the counterflow bus lane and people go fast there. So hopefully, as UPMC wraps up construction and Pitt looks towards its master plan over the next, years and decades, they'll implement some more safety measures along Fifth Avenue. But in happier news, Pittsburgh has had a win recently. Our film industry locally seems to be in boom times a little bit. The film industry spent a record $300 million in PA in 2025, and that broke the previous record from 2021 of $225 million. So good news for our local entertainment industry. We've had TV shows like Parallax, Mayor of Kingstown, and The Pit get filmed here. Mayor of Kingstown, I think it's been mentioned on CityCast, is looking for extras for its final season as well. So some opportunities for locals, including local kids, to be involved.
That's so cute.
We also had the Hershey movie filmed here. And granted, some of this is Philly related. The show Task, that was shot primarily in southeastern PA, was just renewed for a second season. But Pittsburgh, even without a permanent soundstage, seems to be doing quite well as a film city these days.
I'm also impressed that we're able to punch that far above our weight. I would say that because our film tax credit really hasn't kept up with other states nationwide. Our tax credit, I believe, is still at $100 million, which is way better than it used to be. But for example, Georgia doesn't have one, which is why almost everything you see has a peach logo on it in the credits saying thank you to the state of Georgia.
Do we have anything in our credits?
I actually don't know. I wonder if we've got a keystone or something.
That's not as cute.
This is worth looking.
I'm gonna look it up after.
I will watch the credits on The Pit this coming week and see what I see. But yeah, when you have to compete on that level, I think it's really fascinating and wonderful for Pennsylvania that we're able to get $300 million worth of business when we're only able to offer tax credits for up to $100 million of that.
Well, and I'll wrap this up with some flooding news because people are starting to ask about that, especially with
threats of flooding.
Yes, because of all the snow on the ground, people are wondering, once it melts, will it lead to more flooding? Because, it floods here a lot in Pittsburgh. KDKA talked to a meteorologist and explained that, a lot of snow does not mean our flooding season will be worse than usual. There's a bunch of reasons that, the snow doesn't necessarily mean a huge huge amount of water in our streets. For example, like we had a dry summer, so like the soil could soak up more snow and that kind of stuff. So I would say like don't worry a ton yet, but also like use basic flood safety practices. Like this doesn't mean you should be putting stuff on the like floor of your basement.
Yeah, I feel like everything about what you just said feels so hopeful, and I hope it's correct. But that's not my experience living in the city. When you have a wildly snowy winter, you can expect flooding in April and May.
But maybe not worse than usual. Like, it doesn't mean it's going to be a terrible flood season, just a regular one still.
Maybe not a guarantee, but I'm keeping my expectations real low.
That's fair.
We talked about this with the NFL draft, but the Point State Park fountain just got a pretty big overhaul. So I'm going to be curious to see if that makes it a little bit more flood resilient, because in recent years, we've seen the fountain completely underwater a couple of times, and it got pretty clogged up at one point with silt from the riverbed. So hopefully that doesn't happen again this year.
Think about that. What if that happens? What if like draft week or something, like that's when we get our flooding? Because it's always in like kind of late April and May. Just think about all the goose poop and like the street cleaning that they have to do along the North Shore and downtown. That is such an undertaking. If they end up having to do that during or just before the draft, oh my God, nobody will ever move here. Everything will be for naught.
Let's beseech the weather gods and the football gods for some clear weather in the weeks leading up to the draft then.
That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. Our music is by Los Mocochetes, Aaron Taylor Waldman, All the Kimonos, and Martin Lindstrom, with additional mixing by Tyler Lindgren. Mallory Falk is our executive producer. Sophia Lowe and Elizabeth Kama produced the show this week. Francesca DeBecco writes our newsletter, and I'm your host, Megan Harris. We will be back on Monday with more from around the city. Have a great weekend, y'all. Are you a ketchup in the refrigerator person, or are you a ketchup on the counter person?
Fridge.
I'm a fridge household, and this keg could not fit.